I don't know my true name.
Updated my journal.
Requin's eyes widen, seeing his eyeballs bulge even larger makes you uneasy. Then you are blessed. Remain nameless, and you shall be as a spirit on the plains, untraceable, untrackable, unseen, undiscovered. He smacks his gums wetly. A name chosen, a name given. It allows others to find you and hurt you. Have you been hurt? Requin gives a twitching nod, then scratches himself. Let my name slip once, only once. His eyes film over as if the memory is painful, then glances at you uneasily. Tell you the story I will, but 3 coppers must I see. His face splits into a smile as he says the word coppers, and his reeking breath hits you like a hammer. What if I give you 3 coppers? Requin gets into a stance, looks left, looks right, then faces you. His face clenches, then with a grunt he breaks wind again. The smell nearly levels you, but he takes no notice. Cursed eye! Walked the words in splendor. He stands up stiffly, nose high in the air. He saunters back and forth, nodding to invisible passerbys.
Updated my journal.
Requin freezes, his arms akimbo, crossed paths with a crossed one. Had the looking of a pumpkin, he seethes, curses. Requin then thrusts his belly out so as to appear fat, slicks back his hair with his filthy palms so he looks almost bald, and begins drumming his fingers on his fat belly. He then walks about, circling the spot where his stuffy upper-class persona used to be. All a jumble with curses this one was. With a sneer and a careless gesture, Requin tosses an invisible curse at the stuffy persona. Knew my name, let it slip I had all it took it all. He stiffens up again, inhaling deeply and resuming his upper-class persona. The persona suddenly crumples, and Requin breaks wind violently, then exhales, filling the air with his foul reeking breath. Cursed with stenches, smells, excrement, came here to tell tales, all good for now. Now Requin is the name, given name. He has been cursed? Farrowed? Requin suddenly hunches over and leers at you. He looks around you for a moment, dragging his leg as if lame. A king, a noble tale, a tale I can tell, but 3 coppers must I see. Okay, so he has more information. Very well, here's 3 copper. Requin remains hunched over, staring at you. Once a man of respect, Farrowed was, a man of goals and position. All became nothing turned to air. Requin squints, then breaks wind, filling the air with a gut-churning smell. Turn to air and stink. A liar, a cheater, a man who twisted law, Farrowed was. He hunches over as if writing at a desk. He writes for a moment, then suddenly stops, afraid. Then one day he found that he had twisted himself. Such a liar he had become that when he died he was to go to a horrible place. Requin shakes his head sadly, then hunches over again and looks wildly in all directions. Farrowed would not accept it, would not. He had cheated others, he would cheat his fate too. He read, dug in books, and consulted seers. Requin stalks back and forth, his hand over his eyes, as if staring off into the distance. And they told him that only in trash could he find that which would let him cheat his fate. Requin breaks wind again, then gives a reeking cough. Perhaps they lied.
Updated my journal.
Requin stands up stiffly, then begins to fling off imaginary clothes. With every piece of clothing he throws away, he becomes more hunched. Farrowed threw away his position, his goals, and took up a new title. Requin stops, then leers at you. He claws at his rags, shaking them, and became a king of rags. He would rule the trash, have his subjects search it all, and find that which he needed. He shakes his head. He looks even now. Good. You know where I can find him? Requin shakes his head. He lives amongst rags and trash. There you will find him. So that's probably sewers? A portal that leads to the sewers, or to a gigantic you know, place where all the discarded stuff is, all the junk and the waste, really. What about my missing journal? Requin breaks wind and scratches his heart. He thinks for a moment and shakes his head. No journal have I seen. This area, the hive. Oh, he wants again money. Well, tell me then. Spireward, he points to his left at the charred alley in the distance. An alley of dangerous angles. Alright, so that connects. He bends his limbs in a twisted parody of one of the skeletal buildings, not always angled, not always burned and charred, once alive, no longer. Okay. Flames fire. He flings his hands up in the air, then waves them to simulate flames. The alley burned, great smoke, ash everywhere. In the end, only skeletons of buildings left. Bones of dead buildings, angles everywhere, angles. Yeah, makes sense.
My journal.
He hunches forward, his voice a whisper. Again, the stench from his body hits you like a wave. Dangerous now. Bad men have set up their keep there. He bows, then breaks wind in quick spurts, like a bugle blowing. That is the tale of how a street becomes an alley of dangerous angles. How did the fire start? He makes a semicircle over his heart. A man made it so, a beast made it so, a man whom even fiends admire. Are you telling me that it was done by a man that's probably a duster? I don't know. And a fiend, one of those fire-breathing citizens? Citizen? Who? A sorcerer's tale, filled with madness, sadness, burning, yearning. A tale I can tell, I will, but 3 coppers must I see. He hisses, then crackles in a way that reminds you of a fire burning, a dangerous tale. Well, tell me this tale. A sorcerer there was. No simple-edged wizard is, but a mage of power. Requin brings his hands together reverently, then smiles evilly. He burned with the art, and the art burned him. The name given him was Ignis, a name respected, then feared, then hated, then punished. Requin gives a rattling wheeze, then closes the air and hisses, apparently imitating Ignis. Taught by one of the last great magi, Ignis was, and as an apprentice, Ignis learned much and nothing at the same time. Requin shakes his head sadly. In his heart, his coal-black heart, fire blazed. It burned, and it hungered. Requin closed at his chest as if in pain. As it hungered, Ignis hungered. It was his wish to see the plains burn. In the night, Requin hunches down and begins to slowly stalk in the direction of the alley. A mad grin on his face, Ignis came to the alley that was to be the alley of angles, and the fire in his eyes, the fire in his heart, both he let out. Requin points at the alley, then flings his arms in the air, silently screaming and laughing at the same time. Flesh ran like wax, people like candles, and Ignis laughed. Requin crumples to the ground, his body racked with imagined pain. An evil was done, and forgotten not. He stands up, then hunches over, looks left, looks right, then starts mumbling, as if secretly in a conference with someone. Something was to be done. He stands up stiffly, his face resolute. A punishment was decided. All the hedge wizards, midwives, rune-tellers, copper-pinching witches, all manner of magelings, they came, all, even those with the smallest trace of the art, to punish Ignis. Separately, they were flies. He makes a buzzing noise between his rotten gums. Together, dangerous. He hums, then raises his hands, caught Ignis, granted his wish. He swirls his hands as if casting a spell. He wished to burn. They granted it, using his own desire to fuel the casting. They made his body a door to the plane of fire. They intended to kill him. Kill him. This is getting weirder and
Updated my
weirder.
journal.
Failed, failed. The Reekwind breaks wind again, as if to accentuate the failure of the wizards. Ignus lived, only his lapped blanket of flames. Flames turned in his sleep as he burned. Never happier, never happier. He shuts his eyes, wraps his arms around himself, and turns slowly, burning, ever burning. His eyes suddenly snap open. One day he will wake, and then the plains shall burn. Okay. Other stories. I don't know, because he's not telling me which stories. So I think I leave. I talked enough with him. So this is probably yeah, that probably connects, you know, to the dangerous alley that we got into at some point.
Come on off with you there, let's go.
Ashmantle. You see a dustman in long black robes and a pale face, unlike the dustman you saw in the mortuary. However, this man looks confused and is glancing about as if looking for something. When he spots you, he raises his hand to attract your attention. The man seems relieved that you are speaking to him. He bows slightly. Thank you for hearing me, traveler. I am known as Ashmantle, one of the Dustman sect. I was wondering if you could direct me. I don't know the area very well. Seriously? Are you another one? I'm looking for a certain establishment, a bar that those of my sect frequent. Do you know of such a place? Sect? You're a dustman, don't you mean faction? Dustman nods. Well, yes, faction. I meant faction. Sects, faction, they are much the same thing, really. Do you happen to know of this bar that my faction frequents? Yeah, well, I know, but I don't know how to give you the direction because I don't remember where I am anymore. I don't know if I want to ask him anything. I'm afraid this one is another pickpocket. Pickpocketer. No, it's actually pickpocket. What about if I flip the questions to him? He nods. Your request is reasonable. Tell me where I might find the gathering dust bar and I will be happy to answer any of your questions. Well, the bar you want is by the mortuary. Orient yourself by the mortuary front gate and walk directly southwest. You can't miss it. Dustman smiles. Thank you very much, traveler. I appreciate your kindness. The people of the Hive are rarely helpful in such matters. So? What about my journal? I do not know where you might find such a thing. I mourn its loss. Yeah, you're mourning it. As if that journal was a person. Maybe it was the person before me. Okay. I thought dustmen didn't value possessions. Well, yes and no, I suppose. Yes, because... No, because the possessions keep you attached to this life. But also... Probably yes, because when you shed your possessions, you start shedding parts of yourself, I don't know, maybe. The man shrugged silently. I am not without sympathy for your loss. There are many things of value in one life. Okay, so that was more generic. You have unusual views for a dustman. The man blinks. Well, I am not a common dustman. So who are you? The man nods a little uncomfortably. Why, I'm Ashmantle, one of the Ninth Circle. Ninth Circle? There is no such thing? Maybe, I don't know. He suddenly tenses up. I don't have time to debate the practices and rankings of the Dustman sect with you, so if you'll excuse me. Oh, this one must be another pickpocket, but I wish I could learn from him. I don't think I have enough dexterity to do this. You probably need dexterity to be this quick. Who are you really? Ashmantle suddenly takes off running. But I can kill him somehow. I mean, his circle is red. Oh, look at these things. Oh, I think I can't see him. What is...
Come on in, Basher. We have the best blades in town.
He disappeared? What about you? Cosa Jai. This toothless old crone reeks of fish and brine. Spying your approach, she gives you a wide pink smile. Fish, my child. Fish heads, mayhap. So what do you do? Well, she's a fishmonger or something. Why, fish, my silly child. Fish of all sorts. And fish heads, for those too short of a jink, for the whole ones. Teeny tiny fish heads. Well, if you fry them, they're good. If they're tiny, they're like chips. What about... Where do the fish come from? They're brought to Sigil from all over the plains, my boy. Would you like some? I sell only the heads, should you be short of jink. I questions. She shakes her little wrinkled head. No answers. Have I only fish? Well, I don't feel like buying anything right now. Are you another merchant? You're new? This dour-faced old fellow appears to be selling various hand weapons. Ah, yeah, he's new. Oh, come on over then. Come to see my blades, have you? Maybe. I've got a job to do. Okay, good that they are declining the questions routine. I can't well stop selling just to speak with you. Are you sick? Why am I asking? Ah, he's coughing. Are you sick? Ho ho, nay cutter. Just old. I thank you for the concern, though. He smiles at you. And then I have questions? What? Okay. He's answering. This just another marketplace in the hive. Worst ward in our blessed city of Sigil. He smiles bitterly, then shrugs. As long as you watch your back and get somewhere safe by dark, it's not too bad a place as slums go. Farod? Nope. My journal. I haven't seen one lately, sorry. If you need a new journal, perhaps one of the other merchants here has one for sale. And he has stuff. Antler axe. Now that's interesting. I think we could sell him something. How about you identify this for me? Oh. You can't identify? Oh, yes. Oh, identifying is expensive. Rule of 3 hearing. Minor copper blessing. You received this small earring from folding a note in the mouth of one of the walking corpses in the mortuary. It's a beautiful earring, but despite its beauty, all it seems to do is remind you how strange this world you've woken up is. This earring carries a minor blessing from one of the gods of wealth on some backwater prime world. When held in the hand and the word copper is whispered, it gives the wearer 33 copper commons. This blessing can be used 3 times before the enchantment is exhausted. How cool!
Jellied Hydra eyeballs in aspic.
Jellied Hydra eyeballs? Oh. But where is it? Where should I put it? That's a quiver. Ah, I thought I would have to put it on me, but oh well, I can. Okay, so let's leave it there. It's not really. I don't think I need any money right now necessarily, but
Sure, why not?
oh, who are you calling?
All right.
Can't afford to get cut off.
This a laborer. So let's keep exploring. I wanted to talk with her as well. Mayram. This old woman stands silently by the wall, staring off into the distance. She seems to be unconcerned with the flow of traffic around her and clutches a wooden pole from which dozens of small fish are dangling. That's curious. Greetings. Oh, hello, sir. She squints at you for a moment, trying to discern your identity. Oh my. Yeah, I was thinking, you one of my regular customers? She proffers her fish bowl. Tuna, sir, mackerel, sea cucumbers. Ooh, sea cucumbers. Ah. Questions? Her mouth presses down into a tight-lipped frown, and she stares off over your shoulder. Let's see what she's staring at. Yeah, see, she probably will rob me. What about my journal? She shakes her head, mouth closed tightly, and continues to look over your shoulder. Each time you try to catch a glance of what she might be looking at, you turn back to find her staring at you for the briefest of moments. What, do I look familiar to you? Goodness knows, she pauses for a moment. You do. Have you seen me before, then? I think you or a man with your very likeness, sir. It was so long ago. Tell me. Well, sir, you see, my sight's not so good now. It wasn't back then. Neither, but I thought I saw you walking past with a small group trailing along behind you. What did these people look like? It's hard to say, sir. It was so long ago, and you walked by so quick-like. But I remember now the way you held your head up. There was a woman following you, trying to stop you, to get you to turn around. Speak to her, but you pushed her away. What happened then? Beautiful woman she was, looked so sad, so angry all at once. She stood there for a moment, then followed along behind you just the same, hustling to catch up. Who else was there? She shrugs. There was at least 2 other gentlemen with you, sir. The only one I remember too clearly, though, was tall, thin. Reeked of Bob, he did. I smelled him from across the way. Looked like he hadn't bathed in ages, too. He followed you close, he did, and never said a word. Acted like the woman wasn't even there, even when she bumped against him, trying to stop you. That's all I remember, sir. Well, I can give her something. How much do you give to the fishwife? I'll give you 5. Oh my. Why? Thank you, sir, most kindly. May the Lady Shadow pass you over. Thanks. But do you know anything else? No? Okay. Maybe that's the only important thing that she had to say. Which is fine. This looks like an entrance, but there is no handle or a means to opening it. Yeah, it's quite weird. Some weird buildings around here. Okay, this is the end. No. What? Look at this. Oh, there's another one of these. You're doing nothing? I have some questions for you, maybe? Nah, it's always the same. Maybe he's the supervisor or something. frightened, the Hive Dweller. You see a man in tattered clothing. As you approach him, he suddenly stops and begins to look around, frightened. Greetings. The man looks startled and takes a step back. Eh, what you be wanting, Cutter? His voice is shaky and he seems taken aback by your scars. I have nothing on me, so I don't, and my rags are not worth the trouble. I'm not here to rob you. I had some questions. He keeps a safe distance and his eyes dart from side to side as if expecting something to step out of the shadows. Question, you said. What might those questions be? Journal. You're missing a what? He looks confused. No idea where you find such a thing, Cutter. Farrod. Doesn't know him. Who's he? A collector, I think. He thinks. Well, then he most likely has his keep in Ragpicker Square. Then you might want to look there during the day. That is not nice place at night. What can you tell me about the city? What do you want to know? Where is Sigil? Center of the plains. To hear tell. Don't know from experience, he shrugs. I imagine every place touches here, one way or another. Not all of Sigil is as ugly as you see here, neither. Okay. Nah, I don't think... What about the Lady of Pain? The Mistress of Sigil, you've not heard of her? You must be blessed or more clueless. Know little about Sigil indeed. We already had that discussion. He licks his lips as you turn to leave. Cutter, you might think he studies you for a moment. You could spare a few coppers for a blood who helped you on your way. Not many around here do that for a fella. Enough for a man to wet his tongue. A copper. Okay. Let's move on. I don't think I need to. This is closed off, alright. Dusty Ratsies. This foul-looking man is quick to notice he's caught your attention. In moments he's upon you, hawking his wares. He carries along a wooden pole. Dozens of skinned and cooked rats dangle from it. As he speaks, he gestures to them with a broad filth-encrusted hand, smiling a yellowed, snaggle-toothed grin all the while. Oi, Cutter! How we doing there? What sort of delicious ratsies is he interested in this fine day? Examine. Each rat has been skinned and gutted, their feet and tails removed. They dangle from the pole by hooks punched through their necks. As you examine the various manners in which they've been prepared, you realize their heads are slightly misshapen. A bulbous knot of bone protrudes from each cranium, covered in whorls that give it the appearance of brain tissue. Those are strange-looking rats. They are probably brain rats. Ah, you've got a keen eye there, Cutter. All I sell is brain vermin. I do. I'm sure you'll find they've got a much richer flavor than the usual rat. Quite nice, really. He proffers them to you once more, waving the pole before your face enticingly. The rats sway to and fro, hooked like tiny sides of beef. Brain vermin. Aye, Cutter, brain vermin, foul creatures they are. Now, your normal rats, they just eat stored goods and multiply, spread disease and all that. Nuisance, really, no more. Your cranium rat, though, brain vermin, what I go after, they are just trouble. When you get more than a handful, and the little pikers together, they start to get smart on you, sometimes real smart. Yeah, I've heard that. They become more intelligent. Sure as I'm standing here before you, they do. If I ran across any more than 20 of them, I'd flee for me case like that. He snaps to emphasize the point. I would. You get that many of them in a pack. Why? They get smart as a man, they do. Here's my best advice for you, Cutter. If you're bent on catching brain vermin, stick to small packs. A dozen or so at most, but I'll tell you. He steps close, his breath fetid in your face, and speaks in a hushed tone. You run into more than that, more than a couple dozen. You run like you're in the shadow of the lady. He backs away from you again. Well, why? They're gonna eat you alive. They're like piranhas. I don't know. Sorcery, Cutter. Sorcery. Ooh. He gets enough of those little fiends in a space. They gain all sorts of odd powers. Make a basher's brain pour out. His ears they will. Downright frightening. It's just wrong, I tell you. That's why Sigil's so eager to be rid of them, the bounty and all. Yeah, we know that someone pays for them. The Office of something. Office of Vermin and Disease Control. Name a lord who pays a bounty on them. A copper a deader. Dead tail. A copper only. They gotta be brain vermin only. Tell me about Lord. His name is Phineas Lord. Think he was some sort high up. He was put down by his rivals and stuck here in the arse end of Sigil. The Berg sits in there alone all the night and day, it seems, waiting for folk to bring in tales and paying them the bounty. You know the best part? Poor sod must be allergic to rats, 'cause he's always got a huge rush going. Powers be praised, I ain't that fella. Put down. Any idea why that would happen? Well, he's right chatty, he is. He'll rattle his bone box for hours on just how smart he is and the like. Maybe that's got something to do with it, he shrugs. Yeah, that would. He shoulders his rat pole casually. I don't know. What, me? Why, I'm Creeden. Sometimes called Creed, the butcherer of rats. He smiles grandiosely, exposing ill-matched rows of yellowed, broken and crooked teeth. Yeah, you certainly seems friendlier than most around here. Well, Cutter, I try. Results of my business, I think. Most folks around here are a peery and downright unfriendly lot, but I want every Cutter to know that Creedence always got a warm smile on a piping hot fresh cooked ratsy for them. He winks at you. Well, yeah, I see. Something else you can tell me? Maybe something of interest? It's just the same stuff. What about Farod? He looks a bit surprised. Farod? Why would a cutter be looking for a pen like that? It's a long story, really, that I don't even know. He's the head of a pack of collectors. He moves about all the time, probably to avoid trouble. Oh! That's why the portal would be necessary. Calls someplace in Ugpicker Square his case, most likely. Right crafty fellow. A cutter, best watch himself around that fellow. Okay. He touches your arm. I see you're leaving, Cutter, but before you go, would you like a nice, delicious ratsy, one for the road, you might say? No, thanks. But I know where you are. Oh, no! It's 3 of them! Give me only one. Nah, they're coming all 3 of them. I needed to lose one at least. Did I lose him?
This is probably the worst place we can be in Sigil at the worst time. Damn it!
Nah, that's too much. That's closed. If only I could lose one. If only Mort had a body.
Just taste them all over here.
What? Okay, there is an exit here. Why is this familiar?